Senator Burke. And now another Mayo-based Senator, Senator Conway-Walsh, you also have 8 minutes.
Thank you, Cathaoirleach, and he started it. Minister, I want to welcome you to the House, and I do hope that I need to put him straight. But Minister, I do hope that you're in better form than your colleague, Minister O'Donovan, when he appeared here before us a couple of weeks ago. I do need to address that, Senator Burke, in what he's saying. In the VAT on hotel beds. Now, we need to be really clear about this because it's important to get accurate information. Certainly, we would abolish the 9% VAT rate on hotel beds only, not on restaurants, not on bars, not on anything to do with that. And the reason we would do it is that we all know that there's massive price gouging going on here in Dublin, in particular on hotel rooms. There isn't a hotel bed to be got in the place, and the prices escalate and escalate. So we would ask the question, would that 190 million not be better used to invest in housing, maybe to invest in the children that have to go to school from hotels and have to go home from whatever hotel that their parents are staying in that night. That is, if they're lucky enough to have a bed. That is 190 million. Part of that given to people who are price gouging and multi-millionaires. So I will make no apologies for that whatsoever. In terms of the hotel beds and the hotels in rural Ireland, I absolutely agree. And that's why there needs to be other measures put in place, such as the recalculation of the rates and a re-examination of the charges that are put on hotel owners in rural Ireland that don't have the footfall that they have in the urban areas. So that's just to address that. But today, Minister, today's budget is a missed opportunity. And this hasn't happened by accident or by lack of foresight. And I want to press the point that this budget is well thought out and has a definite ideology behind it. It is an ideology that dictates that as soon as the economy begins to recover, those who can afford to give a little in order to help raise the living standards of those who have suffered the most remain the protected species. And I say that because 662 million could have been raised if we were to ask those earning over 100,000 to pay an extra 7 cents more in each euro that they earned. Now, that would only affect 3% of earners. 97% of earners under the Sinn Féin alternative budget would not be affected in any way at all by that. And I think 662 million could go an awful long way into addressing a lot of the infrastructure deficits that Senator Burke and other people who are familiar with Mayo and the rest of Ireland would know could really do with whether that be in broadband, in roads, in sewerage and many other things where the money is desperately needed. They talk about unemployment, and I see my colleague before me, and I don't really want to talk about Senator Burke all the time, but he's given rise to a few things that I think is important to address. Again, you know, the congratulations around reducing the unemployment rate, that it's 5 or 6%. He absolutely must know that there's areas of Mayo and rural Ireland with unemployment figures of above 30%. I live in one of those areas myself, and that is even with huge and savage immigration that has happened. Immigration has been the solution to a lot of the unemployment in rural Ireland. So, you know, to be working off the premise that we are in a situation with full employment is deeply, deeply worrying. In terms of the rainy day fund, certainly. But why we have all these infrastructure deficits, why we have such serious problems in health with nearly 700,000 people waiting for treatment and hundreds of people on trolleys and everything else in terms of people being able to access treatment, and we have so many people who are homeless and people who are about to remain homeless. Surely it's a rainy day for them. So the rainy day fund, that money, I believe, should be used to invest in vital infrastructure. And we know that by doing that, by investing every single euro that we would invest in that, it would mean a return of €4. And now I get to Fianna Fáil. So Fianna Fáil earlier today spoke of their achievements in mitigating some of the worst aspects of Fine Gael's budget. And we should be so grateful that Fianna Fáil were here to save us. They're very proud that the cut in mortgage interest relief was only 25%. But I want them to explain to first-time buyers why this has happened at all. Either Fianna Fáil have influence or they don't. Either they have red line issues or they don't. The tax cuts that were negotiated between Fianna Fáil and the government behind the scenes are of no interest to those who are on hospital waiting lists or on emergency accommodation. Those who earn over 70k will save €328 per annum, while those on 20k will save a mere €53 a year. That is just about €1 a week. €53 a year does not seem like a lot of money, but put together there are 335 million in tax cuts. That's 335 million means a lot to those on the waiting list and on funding for essential operations or medicines. And it certainly means a lot to those who are waiting over 10 years on the social housing waiting list. It means a lot to those who are living in areas that are seriously restrained by chronically poor services, such as transport and broadband. So I want that figure of 335 million in tax cuts for the most well-off to be at the forefront of everybody's mind every time they are told that the money simply isn't there. So this goes to show where Fianna Fáil exerted their pressure, and Fine Gael, they jumped in to protect the highest earners. In terms of health, the headline figure announced today does not even cover the amount needed to allow the service to function, to stand still as it is. Demographic pressure, public service. God, that time went really quick, and I'll have to save the rest.
Time flies when you're having fun, Senator.
I'll have to save the rest for later in the week till the other ministers come in. But the point I'm trying to make is that demographic pressure and the public service pay and the carryover means that the service actually needs 691 million a year. And in this budget, the government has only set aside 685 million, leaving a 6 million shortfall. So this fact has been put out today, and it certainly hasn't been disputed by any of the government ministers so far. I'll conclude by I want to refer to the increased excise on the pack of cigarettes by 50 cents. I think that is a good thing to do, and that is the right thing to do. But I would say that that is cost neutral, Minister, because the elasticity on an action like that that would cause people to, and obviously change their behaviour to go. But the government has factored that in at 64 million last Cahirlock, and that certainly does worry me, and I think it casts doubt on maybe some of the other figures that are in the budget as well, and the rest will keep.
Okay, thanks.